One of the great services that occurs at this ashram is the assisting of spiritual seekers in their spiritual journey. And when this ashram was formed some years ago, people started calling up and saying, "What's it like to live at an ashram? Can we come there? What do you do? We want to do what you do." So in those days, the senior members looked at the amount of practice that we were all doing here at the ashram, the amount of study, and the amount of service. And they said, okay, let's design a program so if people are somewhat new to our lifestyle here, that they could easily come into it, enjoy it, go deeper, and we'll just give them a little assistance in their spiritual life. So that was our initial intention. And people felt, well, they have to stay at least 1 month to really get established in the practice. That's the minimum, 1 month. And people said, well, let's give them 1 to 3 months, their choice. They have to stay a month, but they could stay a couple months after that. So that's the way the program was originally designed. But the problem was they came for 1 month, they stayed another month, they completed the 3rd month, and they didn't want to go. So we said, well, what do we do with them now? And so we said, okay, let's see if after all of the living yoga training, that was the initial program that they came into, if they wanted to stay longer, let's see if we could put some kind of special service for them to do and have them start out with a 3-month commitment. So that became our Karma Yoga or Ashram Yogi program. And over the years, we were able to develop a wonderful small internship, so to speak, in vegetarian cooking, because everybody wanted to be a vegetarian, organic vegetarian cook. So we put that program in place, but people didn't want to just cook the food. They wanted to grow the food. So we said, okay, and we started the internship at our organic farm or garden. So that's how these programs have evolved and come about. And we're so blessed. Now it is a requirement. If you want to come and live at Satchidananda Ashram for a period of time, you have to begin by taking our living yoga training program, because you get to know our lifestyle, you know what our teachings are about and what's expected of you when you live here at the ashram. So this evening, we are going to have 3 separate groups of people to come and speak to you about these wonderful programs. The first will be those who have participated in these programs themselves, the living yoga trainees. They're all trained up now. And they will be sharing with you how they first heard about this ashram and this program, what inspired them to be a part of the program, and how they've benefited from taking the program. So I would like to, if we're ready to open the curtain, yes, okay. I would like to invite Devendra Brandon Paul, and he's probably up there already because he's on our stage crew. Vyasa Brandon Smith, Bhuvaneshwari Mariandra Pepitone, and Ranjani Rachel Bain to please come onto the stage. Okay.
Hello. Okay.
Okay.
I'll begin with how I came here. Like Gurudev said, I was very thirsty and hungry to know God and the truth. And I just kept praying, and God had led me to the teachings and writings of Paramahansa Yogananda. And it was through his words and his books that I learned what yoga really meant. Because I thought it was just stretching, and I learned that it was actually the science of union between the soul and God, and how important meditation was. So I was living with my two best friends at the time, and I told them, I don't know anything, but I know I need to do yoga and meditation, and I don't know how. I think maybe I'll have to go to a cave or something. That sounds kind of scary, but I don't know what else to do. So the next day, they came to me and they presented me with Yogaville website, and they said, we think you should go here. And I saw Gurudev, I saw the Lotus Temple, and then I looked at the schedule for the Living Yoga Trainee program, and I said, that's it, that's for me. And within a month, I was here. And that was 3 years ago.
You're still here.
And I'm still here, yes.
Okay, I'll save the other question for a little later.
Okay, great.
And let's go to Mariandra Bhuvaneshwari.
Is this close enough? Good? No? Okay. Is this good? Hi, Hari Om. So the question is, how did I come to find out about the ashram and the light program?
Mm-hmm.
So 6 years ago, I would say I sort of hit that rock bottom space that Sri Gurudev was mentioning in the video. I was, I think, finally ready to feel something deeper inside, and I was very, very depressed, actually, and had a lot of negative thoughts about myself. And when you first saw me here, I was actually always looking down and very, very, very insecure, very anxious, very worried, very sad. And I found out about Yogaville through my father, actually. Somehow he hadn't told me about it all this time. Many years ago, he was taking a weekly hatha class with Swami Satchidananda at the IYI in New York. And my upbringing was in New York City, New Jersey. And through this depression, when I just had it, and I was ready to see God, if you will, we sat down at a computer, similar to your story, and I had this intuitive feeling. I had never formally meditated before, not really done any much hatha yoga. I was raised Catholic in a very Sicilian family. And I said, I just know I have this feeling I have to study meditation and hatha, or yoga, I called it. And I've got to eat a healthy diet and be in nature. And spiritually, I feel really lonely. And I was 22 at the time, and it was very rare to find good company, sangha, spiritual sangha like we have here. And we're thinking of all these kinds of different places. We're doing research, all these expensive places. And finally he says, oh, there's this ashram in Virginia. Yeah, I've been going to their yoga studio in New York City for years, and I met the founder. I went to a couple of his talks. And we pulled up the website. I saw Swami Satchidananda's picture. I didn't know what was going on. Sanskrit, the beard. I mean, there was some initial judgment there, and I said, whatever, let's just go with it. And within months, I ended up at the ashram, and I haven't left.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Om, everyone. So I really had a fairly mundane, normal life. I was married, I had children, I was happy. I lived in Charlottesville for 25 years, and there was a little hole. There was a little place that I always felt like, oh, there's something more, but I don't know what it is. And periodically, I would go on little side trips to investigate doing things, meditation. I drop into hatha classes and drop out. I exercise. I practice martial arts. I just there was a little place, and I didn't know what I wanted. So I was at the gym, and I went to a drop-in hatha class, and afterwards a woman said to me, "Have you ever been to Yogaville?" And I laughed. I thought, is there a place called Yogaville? I mean, it sounded, I don't know what it sounded, but it was surprising, and so I let it go. 5 days later, I went to another just drop-in hatha class at the gym, and for some reason, the teacher started talking about Swami Satchidananda, and she referenced the fact that he was the Woodstock guru, right? The guru that opened Woodstock. And Yogaville is just near. I was in Charlottesville 25 years. I never heard. And my heart started going fast. I don't know why, but I just thought, I have to find out. So I Googled it, and yeah, the computer's great, right? It was 2008, and I came for a welcome weekend. And I took a Hatha Yoga level 1 class, and I walked out of that class, and I was never the same. I was like, I see. It's the peace. It's the peace that I'd never felt. And so I started coming, and I would come in the day for day trips. I came a lot as day trips, and every time I came, I wanted to stay longer, and I wanted to stay longer. And the Light program was actually just the natural next step for me. I met Swami Satchidananda, who is a dear friend, a teacher, a mentor. She was amazing for me, with me, Swami Priyananda as well. So they really were my support, and I can't say enough how much I appreciate both of you. So I came for the Light program. It changed my life. And that was 2010. I'm still here.
It not only changed her life, it changed her husband's life too. They moved here.
He retired in
and they're now
2015.
residents,
Yeah.
and she serves in our group services department.
Yeah.
Vyasa?
So how did I get here? I was at work, and I knew I was reading a couple of books, Eckhart Tolle and some Michael Singer books, and they kept talking about yoga, and so I thought, well, I need to do yoga. So I looked it up online like everybody else, and I was at work, so I wasn't supposed to be doing this. So I thought, I don't really care. Let's just figure it out. So I typed it in, and Yogaville came up. I wanted to do meditation yoga, and this place came up, and Satchidananda's face was on the website, and I thought, who's that? And I thought it was just an Indian guy who they just put on there to make it seem official. And so I couldn't even pronounce his name. I didn't know what his name was. I thought, Ashram though, so let's go. So I looked it up, and the LYT program popped up, and I filled it out, and I got here, and it was amazing, but I still didn't know how to pronounce his name. So all Friday, I'm doing the classes, and I'm like, who are they talking about, this Sachi guy? And the guru, and I'm just going the whole weekend, and finally Saturday comes along, and I'm here at Satsang, and I'm like, oh my God, it's a person. And I'm like, is he alive? And, I find out that he's not. And I'm like, get out of here. So this guy's not alive. And they're talking about him like he is. This is nuts. So the whole weekend I'm just tripping out like he's not even here. And so that's how it started. And and after the weekend, welcome weekend, I was going right into the Light program. And Arivananda was directing it. And it just all came together. And so, yeah, it was just a great time. But it was definitely weird at first. But I loved it. I love it. So.
Okay. Starting with you again, Vyasa. Mm-hmm. In what ways has participating in the Light program and the Ashram Yogi program transformed and changed your life?
Well, I definitely have to say for sure what I know is that the patience, the judging. I used to well, not used to, maybe still, but less. The judgment of when you meet people and you think that you know who they are by talking to them, and maybe you like them and maybe you don't like them. And before a lot, and so I just didn't have enough time to really invest in. If somebody I didn't like or I had a judgment against, and especially in a negative way, that was it. You know, that was just the judgment, and then I didn't have to go any deeper than that, and I stayed away from that person. But here you can't do that. You cannot do that. So if you think negatively about somebody, which is going to happen, you're going to work with them, you're going to see them in the kitchen, you're going to see them on the farm, and so that forces you to get to know them, and then you realize, oh, I was wrong the whole time about them. They're actually a great human being. And so that's really one of the biggest, there's many lessons, but that one right there is the one that takes the cake, is just not judging a book by its cover.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Oh, so many ways. My life shifted after that month. I in a positive way, was never the same. So I went home for 2 weeks, and I came back, and I did the basic yoga teacher training here at the ashram. Another month that was transformative, and I would have never done it. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't think I was good enough, whatever that means. But because of the light program, because of the confidence I gained, because of the things I learned, I was able to do that. Mm-hmm. And today I live with people who are my family. I meet amazing guests as part of my service here. I have met people from around the world that have become dear friends. My world has expanded. Mm-hmm. So I moved to the ashram, which may seem like a smaller community, and my world has grown 100 times. So I am eternally grateful for the light program. And just the name, that's what I couldn't get out of my mind. It took me a while to decide to come here. It was a big commitment. But the idea of living yoga training, and I kept thinking, what is it like to live yoga? Mm. What is it like to live yoga? And that thought wouldn't go away, and it's just what brought me here. Mm. So thank you. Thank you all.
So the structure of the light program is designed for transformation. It starts with meditation in the morning, and then it continues with karma yoga, more meditation, maybe a rest, hatha yoga. So it's everything that you've been experiencing. And so to do that for 30 days straight, they say it takes, I think, 28 or 30 days to break a habit. The mind is becoming more pure. And I think for me, I wasn't meditating before, so that was a huge shift to have an opportunity to sit down and learn how to watch the mind and create the sense of awareness so that I wasn't getting sucked into that negative habitual thought pattern. So the meditation, learning how to meditate, changed my life. And also the karma yoga is huge because I had the opportunity to take that focus and direct it outward. And one of my favorite teachings from Sri Gurudev is, who is the happiest person? The one who brings happiness to others. And that is, the karma yoga gave me an opportunity to practice that in a genuine way. And also in a safe space, which was very important for me at that time. And now, to be surrounded by such loving people who believe in loving kindness and oneness and who are also doing their best to practice that. Sometimes you can be a kind and loving person and not necessarily in that environment. And it can be challenging if there's that sensitivity or vulnerability. And here I was able to do that safely, and I feel very blessed to be surrounded by like-minded people and with spiritual sangha. And I could say so much about how the light program, I mean, I owe the rest of my life and my existence right now to the light program and Satchidananda Ashram and Sri Gurudev. So, thank you.
Yes, it actually changed pretty much everything about me. starting with the times that we woke up, I was used to going to bed at 4 in the morning, and now I was waking up at 4 in the morning. So that was a huge change, but it was great. And it changed my whole mindset, the way I saw myself and the way I saw the whole world. I learned what it means to really serve and what it means to be a good friend. Yeah, everything. Thank you. Jai.
Thank you all so very much. And if you would exit stage left, we will. Though their hearts were drawn here and the website inspired them to come, if there weren't people administering the programs, we would not be able to have provided them with the experiences they had. So I would like to invite 3 people who are very much, their service here is interwoven with these 2 programs. So I would like for Brother Arjavan, Karuna Marcotte, and Ganesh McIsaac to please come. I'll give you a little background on each one of them. Karuna Marcotte, she's the one in the middle, served as vice president of these 2 programs, the residential services programs, for several years. And now she's temporarily overseeing them for a period of time. Karuna has served as our kitchen manager, the manager and creator, really, of the vegetarian cooking program internship, and the Ashram Yogi residential program. She's overseen all of these. And Karuna serves currently on the Ashram's Board of Trustees. Ganesh McIsaac, he's the fellow on her right, but actually he's seated right in the center of her heart. This is her husband. Ganesh moved to the ashram a long time ago. And since living here, building his home, raising a family, he has also served as the ashram's integral yoga distribution. That company, it started out in New York City with a few books in a shoebox. And the person ahead of that department would go around and sell books to people coming in. In the Connecticut ashram, we had a back porch, and that's where we stored all of our books. But Ganesh really brought that company into a full fruition of expression of Gurudev's teachings and the teachings of many other people. And he did it by getting in his pickup and driving all over this country, going in his very affable way and meeting store owners and introducing them to integral yoga. So he ran that program in such a dynamic way that when he decided to leave it, we made him the executive director of the whole ashram. And he served in that capacity for a number of years. But where his heart really was Gurudev had talked many times about his love for agriculture and for the ashrams to grow their own food and to do it without pesticides, to grow organic food. And so probably the greatest aspect of his service as the executive director was that this ashram went completely organic under his guidance. And if you ever go down to Satchidananda Farm on your way to the Lotus, take a little walk down the road where you see the farm sign, you'll see a lovely garden. And then Brother Arjavan Chaitanya he's the newest member of our monastic community. He's what is known as a pre-sannyas. It's where you see the little orange scarf. One day it will be a completely orange outfit. He oversees, as the administrative assistant in the Ashram Yogi program or the resident services program, he really takes care of many logistical things, getting people in the door, and once they're in the door, seeing to all of their basic needs. He's very dynamic in that. He also teaches classes. He's an integral yoga teacher of Hatha Yoga, Raja Yoga, and he works in our multimedia department, Shaktikam, and in his spare time he cooks. So we keep him nice and busy. So I have some questions for you. Ganesh, we'll start with you. Having served hundreds of people passing through these programs, what is it about the light and ashram yogi programs that you feel benefit both the individual participants and the ashram community as a whole?
I think a lot of people live indoors and stay indoors in cars, in closed spaces, and they have certain transition points in their life. They might be leaving one job and going to another, leaving a relationship, leaving, retiring, and it's times like that when people have a moment of greater vision and sort of insight in their not following a routine so much that they frequently, those are the people that wind up at the farm. They're just in between. And they usually come with an open mind, and I think they come to the Light program the same way. So it's a beautiful moment in someone's life that they come here to Yogaville. And I think the Light program over the years, well, certainly I remember you and myself and Karuna working on it, and that was really great time. And I think it's turned into something really wonderful. When the people are in the Light program, Swami Satchidananda insists that you be present in the Light program. She insists that you don't project yourself into your future, you don't project yourself into your past. She makes sure that you're in the here and now when you're there. And I think then you get to go through the daily routine at the ashram with the meditation and, like Gurudev said, cleaning yourself. Let's get started cleaning yourself and cleaning ourselves. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm fasting, so I'm kind of spacey. But you have to keep cleaning yourself your whole life. You can't let up. And so I think the Light program is perfect for people in that way, and that's why they come to the Light program. If they love it and have a sort of a experience, like you heard the people up here before say, that they can't deny the authenticity of that experience, and they can't forget that that experience made them feel a lot better than they felt before they came here, then those people want to stay around. And that's what the Ashram Yogi program is for. You get to do karma yoga. The Light program is really a way that you get to know what goes on here. The Ashram Yogi program gives you a chance to really solidify through daily work and daily routine the things that you've learned in the Light program. And you can break a habit maybe to some degree in 21 days, but if you stay for 4 months and you keep working, then you're really a different person. So I think that's what those two programs do.
Thank you very much. Karuna, same. If you could also reflect on the benefit you think it gives to the people who are taking them and how it also benefits the ashram as a whole.
I feel that the ashram benefits from having these people come because it sort of ups our game in that we who are here have on some level committed ourselves to be examples, and we've taken vows of certain lifestyle guidelines. And if you're not living congruent to that, then it's really magnified. And I think it's magnified more when you have these fresh souls that are looking into the ashram to see what it's all about. And you can only hide for so long. So I think for us as a community, it brings us together in really committing to our sadhana and how we treat each other. And I think they benefit because they see a spiritual community that has a beautiful vibration and a theme of just living together peacefully. So that's my feelings about how it's sort of a reciprocity in that they gain, but boy, do we gain because I see them as teachers and they're so beautiful. It's like Sri Gurudev said in the video, you know, like we're providing a meal here, but if nobody shows up to eat, then we're not feeling very satisfied. So let the hungry come. We have plenty of food for the soul. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Arjavan, you're like right on ground zero with them. And so what do you see and how they benefit and how they benefit the community also?
Well, everyone benefits from having a spiritual community. We have a unifying principle. We're united in sadhana, in practice. We do the same thing, and this is our spiritual family. So gaining new members of the family is amazing and serves us as an inspiration. You know, the beginner's mind has so much enthusiasm, so much openness, so much energy, a new perspective. It's very refreshing for us and for them as well to have support of the community, to have inspiration, accountability, everything. So it works both directions.
Karuna, if someone in one of those programs came to you and asked you, I'm thinking of staying longer, what would you say to them?
I would tell them that staying longer, given their prior experience, good or bad, means that you're not here to fix the ashram. A lot of people come and they see this place, but they don't look at themselves. Out there in the world, they're there, but they don't realize they're bringing themselves with them. So any projections that might be out there are of their own making. And the Leela plays very heavy here and is way more magnified. And there's a place when you come and stay longer that this honeymoon is over. And the delusion, you know, sort of, and you're like, what have I done? But you got to stay out of that because it's not your mess. And you're not here to fix this one and that one. If you just show up, you do the work, you're going to love it here. Because there's so much grace that falls if you just mind your own business. Thank
Mr.
you,
McIsaac,
Gurudev.
would you like to comment on that? How you would also, and I'm certain people have asked you, if they would wanted to stay longer, what you would advise. What would you say to them?
Me?
Yeah.
Stay longer. I think one thing I love that Sri Gurudev said once is, before, when I was just looking, like the people who were up here before, when I was just looking at Yogaville, I really wasn't into sort of a clutchy missionary kind of a situation where people would be clinging to you in some way. And I didn't want to get near that. And Gurudev, I heard him say once, 20,000 come, great, 40,000 leave, even better. And that's the way he was. He wasn't trying to get anybody to stay extra or do anything. He wasn't grabbing for anything in any way, shape, or form. And that is the spirit behind Yogaville, and it still is. People can come, they get what they need, then they can keep going, and nobody feels wrong that they're leaving or good that they're staying. It's just a place where we're serving every day. And people come and go. A lot of people come, a lot of people go, a lot of people come back. It's a beautiful place to live, I think.
So if you want to stay longer, I think it's important to realize that sometimes after a few months, actually, what happens is you get comfortable, again, the romance is over, but it is good to keep that beginner's mind, keep questioning, really ask questions. There are many people who've done it, who've been here for 40 or more years, who've meditated a lot. There's a lot of experience and a lot of mistakes that people already made, and you can learn from that. The difference between wise person and smart person is the wise person learns from mistakes of others, and smart learns from their own mistakes. So you can learn a lot by asking questions. And also oftentimes we get back into our old patterns of thinking and talking. And for what I found really useful is observe this moderation in speech. Say something only if it's kind, necessary, and true.
Good. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Well, in these programs, they are given classes, and we call on our teachers, the senior people in our community, to really introduce the people in the Light program to the teachings of Gurudev, and to take the ashram yogis who have been here for some time into a deeper level. So 3 of our most senior teachers are with us this evening, and that would be Swami Satchidananda Mataji, Reverend Bhagavan Metro, and Reverend Bharati Gardino. And I would like to invite the 3 of them to please come and take their seats. You can sit in the middle, Mataji. I'll very quickly go through a little introduction of each of these people. Swami Guru Satchidananda Mataji, known lovingly, affectionately, and respectfully as Mataji, is one of our most senior monks. She has been serving as a monastic for 70 years, and she serves in many capacities in many places throughout the world. She started as our head receptionist at the Satchidananda Ashram in Connecticut. She then moved to the Integral Yoga Institute in New York City, where she served as a receptionist and teacher. And she has served as a teacher and a lecturer and presented many programs in India, Italy, Portugal, Spain, and Gibraltar. She currently serves in the Office of Spiritual Development, teaching all branches of integral yoga, offering loving guidance to seekers and going a little deeper into their spiritual practice. She's one of our most inspiring pujaris. So if you go down to Chidambaram, you will see many of our senior people offering the puja there to Sri Gurudev. She offers mantra initiation when people seek that. And she is the director of many of our integral yoga retreats. And in her spare time, she goes out and sings in a community choir. So that's our Mataji. Reverend Bhagavan and Bhavani Metro, his wife, met Sri Gurudev in their home state of Colorado. Is that correct? Yeah. And they were so inspired by him that they picked up their children and moved to Connecticut and enrolled them in the Integral Yoga School there. And when the ashram moved from Connecticut to Virginia, they moved too. And they began to build Yogaville. They had an industry called New Age Builders, and many of the buildings that you have classes in, sleep in, eat in, all throughout this community, they were built by New Age builders. And they not only built our community, they continued building their family and had 2 more children here in Yogaville. And thank goodness they did, because that gave us the population we needed to open an integral yoga school called the Vidyalayam. And after retiring from their business, they have devoted their lives to serving as ministers here in our community, as continuing to care for their beloved children and grandchildren when they come to visit. Reverend Bhagavan teaches meditation and serves as a mentor to our lights and ashram yogis. He and Reverend Bhavani periodically offer workshops at the ashram and often are speakers at our satsang. And Reverend Bharati was one of the first gardeners here in Yogaville. She was one of our earliest residents, and she and her husband Joe lovingly cultivated the soil to grow fresh organic food for the early pioneers of this ashram. They also trained young aspiring residents to become gardeners and that were participating in our residential programs at that time. Upon completion of that service here at the ashram, they both, being certified in education, went to Charlottesville and uplifted the Charlottesville youth by being very good teachers. And now Bharati serves as one of our main Raja Yoga instructors to the Living Yoga trainees. She's one of the pujaris at Chidambaram, and she's an assistant in Satchidananda archives. So these are very qualified teachers, and I'm delighted to ask them this question. All of you have taught in many venues. What do you enjoy the most about teaching to participants in the Light and Ashram program? Would anyone like to start?
Well, you know, whenever you get to share with other people things that have benefited you tremendously, something that you know the value of, and when you say maybe the first words about it and you see response, you see sparkling eyes, you see a smile, you see someone's body waking up, there is a beautiful come-go in a spiritual community, first of all, because everybody wants to learn more. Everybody wants to go deeper. And when you are able to assist that in a teaching situation, whether it is the meditative approach, whether it is hatha, whether it is how you eat, whether it's how you communicate with people, all of those, you feel the investment. I think of anyone who has a teaching experience realizes that they're getting the most out of it. Because you can't give what you don't have, and you learn that. And so you just let what has grown in you through experience and practice, you let that come out, and you see others that are thirsty, drink it up. And it's constant giving, taking, growing, and the Guru is behind it all. So I think it's of tremendous benefit to everyone concerned.
Hari Om. Am I close enough? Okay. what first came to my mind when I started thinking about what I really like about the teaching is I just remembered, had this image of Guru Dev when he first came, was in New York and the Integral Yoga Institutes began. He was teaching everybody hatha and pranayama, meditation, and very soon he began to teach his students to go out and teach. Not that they really knew that much, just the basics. And after, when they were ready to graduate and start teaching, he said to them, and I've just heard this on a reel-to-reel tape from way back then. I heard Gurudev speaking to that probably first group of students that he taught. He said, you know, you're going to start teaching classes and people are going to come and think of you as teachers, and that's fine, but always remember that you are a learner. And every year after that, you know, we've been having these teacher training programs continuously. When Gurudev would address the group in celebration, that was the first thing that he would say, be a learner. And I learned so much from this experience of sharing the little that I know about Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. That's what I've been teaching most recently. For a couple of reasons. Well, one reason is that I just have that kind of mind where I have to prepare. So it doesn't matter how many times I've talked about a particular sutra. You know, before class, I sit down, I read the sutra again, I read the commentary again, think about it, and there's probably not a time when I don't feel that I'm either really understanding something new that I didn't understand before, or that something that I have been working with and that I understand it from a different perspective. So it's a constant learning experience. And then the other thing is that, you know, when we first, people of my generation, we were about in our early 20s when we first were learning about yoga in the late 60s, early 70s. And we didn't know anything. There weren't any books. There were very few books about yoga. I mean, Gurudev really had to teach us from totally the bottom up, everything. Whereas the people that come to these to the programs here at the ashram now know so much, because there's been 50 years of writings and different gurus and different places to experience yoga. So they come with really a very deep intellectual knowledge, and sometimes know more than I do about certain things. So I'm asked questions, and that gives me an opportunity to learn more, because I have to find the answer. And also, they're coming here, you know, many people have, not everybody, but many people know quite a bit about yoga already, but they're coming here, as was already described, to put what they know into practice and to really integrate it into their lives, and are just very thirsty, like what was said before. But I learn, what I'm trying to get at is that I learn a lot from them, from their experience and from what they know. Something else that I really love is the fact that just on its own, very naturally, when we're in scripture study class, we have satsang. Because satsang is being in the presence of absolute truth, being in the presence of wisdom. And what we are studying is not somebody's opinion or intellectual ideas. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras were written by people who experienced them, who were able to control the mind and be able to experience what we call our true nature, that peace within. And Gurudev's commentary is scripture, because he also experienced that and lived that life. So the satsang is very beautiful. And I have one more thing. Is there enough time? What I really love about teaching this class is keeping in mind our motto, truth is one, paths are many. And there are so many other verses, slokas, from other scriptures that say the same thing as the sutra says. And it's just such a joy to bring that to the class. I have a couple of examples from the Dhammapada, which is a Buddhist scripture. This complements a number of Patanjali's sutras, because Patanjali was just talking about how to control the mind and the tremendous impact that the thoughts, the nature of our thoughts have on us, and how important it is to cultivate positive thoughts. So I'll just read this from the Dhammapada. Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Suffering follows an evil thought as the wheels of a cart follow the oxen that draws it. Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Joy follows a pure thought like a shadow that never leaves. We do a lot of that.
Yes, I love sharing the practices with the young people who come here to study. In fact, anyone who walks in the door, I love sharing that with. Because I've found over these last 50 or so years that this actually works, and that it is really entirely possible to be peaceful and joyful, no matter what your circumstances are, what your background, what your upbringing, your condition, your financial situation. No matter what all of that is, it's possible to be peaceful and joyful. What an amazing thing. And these practices that we do here are what gets us to that. As Sri Gurudev said, everybody is doing this for themselves, right? So I sometimes feel my job is to be a cheerleader and to say, yes, you can, because one of the biggest problems is doubt. You heard the young people talking up here earlier, and almost all of them said there was some doubt. If we can overcome that doubt and give our lives to these practices, we can attain everything that the scriptures talk about. Nothing is closed to us because we do have infinite potential to do so. I love talking to the young people about this and coaxing out of them something that allows them to get a taste of these practices. Because once we get a taste of them, we will do them. And once we do them, we'll get the result. That's my greatest joy being here.